Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Automation Village. I'm Dave Spencer, and it's the December 2022 episode. This is the one we like to call the Drippy Nose Edition. Today, we have a great show coming up for you, and you may have noticed right off the bat that I'm here all by myself. But fret not. Chris, Natasha, Pete, everybody is here with us today. We've just all gone our own directions for the recording of this episode, and that's because we've got a lot of special projects going on. So we were actually together a few weeks ago. Trihedral, VTScada, had everybody from our global staff and much of their families come together in the Halifax site, where we had a week of meetings, we had a lot of get-togethers, and we even had a big bash at Fox Harbour Resort to end the week. It was a ton of fun. And it was great to see everybody. So now Chris has taken a little bit of time away from the office where he's working on a special art project. This is something he does every year. And Chris is going to give us a sneak preview into his secret lair where he works on these projects and also show us what he's got up and coming for the 2022 holiday season. Natasha, the holiday season is big for her. So she's got a special edition of Questions with Nat where she's going to be doing it from her house with her Christmas decorations. And let us know in the chat right now how many trees you think Natasha will have up in her house, because I can tell you it's more than one. So Pete also is working on a holiday project, so he's putting together a special piece on that. And I'll be doing the typical VTScada tips and tricks where we'll show you how to bring web content into VTScada. So this is a new feature that we released not too long ago. So without further ado, let's kick things off over in the UK with Keith Donaldson for the industry news.
Welcome to a festive edition of the Automation News. We start this month with a story about space, as we like to do. It's been a really exciting month for space exploration, with NASA's Artemis 1 Orion spacecraft breaking a record set by Apollo 13. Artemis 1 is the first of an increasingly complex missions that will enable human exploration of the Moon and Mars. Its main objective is to test the Orion spacecraft, especially its heat shield, in preparation for subsequent Artemis missions. These missions seek to re-establish a human presence on the Moon and demonstrate technologies and business approaches that are needed for future scientific studies, including the exploration of Mars. The record for the furthest distance a human-related spacecraft has ever gone from Earth was broken by Orion on Saturday, the 3rd of December at 8:40 a.m. Eastern Time. The previous record holder was Apollo 13, with a distance of 248,655 miles. Now, more than 50 years ago, the Apollo missions sent the first humans to the Moon. The Orion spacecraft has traveled 268,552 statute miles from Earth and has now left its distant lunar orbit and is on its return journey home. The spacecraft successfully completed the distant retrograde departure burn, firing its main engines for 1 minute and 45 seconds to set the spacecraft on its course for a close lunar flyby before its return home. On December the 11th, splashdown will take place in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego, serving as its last test. The heat shield's durability will be tested during the stress test. Upon re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, the capsule will likely be subjected to temperatures in excess of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So really exciting times ahead, and hopefully a return to the Moon for humans. Next up, and sticking on a space theme, a new vibration experiment is to try and create new materials in space. A UK experiment to find new ways of creating materials that could be used to produce medicines and metal alloys has started its journey to the International Space Station. The particle vibration experiment, also known as TPAOLA, we do like an abbreviated term there. That is a thermal vibrationally driven particle self-assembly and ordering mechanisms in low gravity. Has been led by the University of Strathclyde here in the UK. The experiment was launched from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket on the 26th of November. Now, the idea here is to use vibrations to allow contactless control of particles to create new types of metal alloys and other structures that would not be possible on Earth. The team said that the experiment could also lead to new methods of cooling nuclear reactors. A spokesperson for the UK Space Agency said, astronauts on the ISS will use the equipment in an experiment that involves heating and shaking complex fluids. That is, liquids that contain fine particles or other liquid droplets. In space's microgravity environment, this can be used to create new materials. This cannot be done on Earth, as the planet's gravity tends to separate these complex fluid into their individual components according to their weight. So this results in a concentrated layer of the particles on the bottom or on the top of the container, which then prevent the production of these new materials and the desired properties. So exciting times there too. And then finally, I came across a great article about the metaverse, this world of the virtually limitless possibilities. I've always been kind of interested in the metaverse to see where this is likely to go. And this article really does look at the individual components to see how companies might be using it in the future. There are certainly big plans for the metaverse in the coming years, with many metaverse companies on the rise. It is set to revolutionize how we live, and there's so much confidence in the new technology that the leading social platform Facebook rebranded itself to Meta, affirming its dedication to this immense virtual world. So what is the metaverse? Well, the metaverse aims to inject realism into a virtual world. Normally, this is accessed through the means of a headset, which allows users to interact and participate in online experiences in real time, and the metaverse comprises of elements like avatars. These are graphically designed to mimic your own appearance. There are games in the metaverse, and it even has its own currency. Essentially, the metaverse combines the virtual world with our own sphere, eliminating this need for solely desk-based or screen-bound activities. Although it's currently in its infancy, more and more people are switching to the benefits of the metaverse-based experiences. And brands are attempting to figure out how to reach potential customers in the virtual world by transforming themselves into metaverse companies. Now, although many will regard this as metaverse as a social experiment or game-type experience, with our recent migration to remote working and with the increase of Teams meetings, for example, and even experiments with augmented reality. And we will put a link over on our forum in the Automation Village about a recent video we've done with augmented reality integrating to VTScada. I do really wonder what the future of the metaverse holds for industrial automation. Well, that's it for this month in the Automation News. I would like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very prosperous New Year.
Thanks for that, Keith. Next up, we have a special piece done by Ian Schmertzler from Dispel, who's a regular on the Automation Village panels. Let's see what Ian has to say.
Happy December. My name is Ian, and this is your Cybersecurity Minute. Data flows that materially impact critical infrastructure in the United States are categorized as controlled unclassified information, which means that even if it hasn't been fully enforced, that data is supposed to be handled in alignment with NIST Special Publication 800-171, and if third parties are involved, NIST Special Publication 800-172. Next month, Dave Spencer and I are going to spend some time showing you how to handle a VTScada instance that is touching or managing a piece of critical infrastructure. We're going to cover 3 topics. First, how to set up and sustain a secure enclave, which is a construct of 800-171. Second, how to set up an internal certificate authority in such an environment. And third, how to future-proof such a system against further standards developments.
I'm really excited for today's top tip because it's extremely powerful and really simple to use. And that's the ability to add HTML inside of your VTScada application. So the way we're going to do this is to fire up the Idea Studio, and we're basically going to add in a little wrapper where we can put an iframe or something. So we'll go to the tools. Down in the bottom here, you'll see this new web browser tools folder, and this has got some new widgets in it. So first things first, let's create a new page to drop this web browser in. And we'll show a few examples of doing this. So we'll do a pop-up page, and we'll call this GIS map, and say sure, and find this application has both English and French, so I've got a couple extra clicks, but that's okay. So in here, let's drop in our web browser tools, and we'll pull this guy down, nice size, and we'll go to the properties, and inside the properties, let's put in our map data. So we'll change this around with a few examples later, so don't worry about it too much for now. So we've got our map. Next up, let's go back to the overview page, back home, and we'll go to page navigation, drop a page button up here, properties, and go this map, and we will see what we want to do that. So we're gonna select our GIS map here, click OK, OK to that, and move out of the Idea Studio. And now when we click this GIS map, you'll see here we're loading something out from the internet, so it may take a few seconds to get this because it is a big page that I'm loading here. Okay, here we go. The map's coming in, so we can move this off the side, and you can see here I've got this map loaded essentially in an iframe inside my VTScada application. So it's pretty cool to see this, and I can click and do the things and interact with this web page the same as I would if I had it up on the internet. So that's pretty cool in itself, but let's make a change to this. Let's bring this down, shrink this out, and make an update to the page. So I'm gonna go back into the Idea Studio. We'll get this GIS map, we'll pull this in, change the aspect ratio a little bit here. Pull this down, go back to the properties, and this time let's think of another area where we may use this, and that would be to do like a form or a survey or something like that. So we'll paste in our new URL, click OK, close the Idea Studio, and now when we fire this up, we've got a brand new page to load. So here we go. So we've loaded up basically just a sample, but imagine how neat it would be to put into a survey that you can just simply work through, submit, and be done with, launch straight from your SCADA application. So that's pretty cool. The third thing that I want to show you is drawing this onto another page. So we can go back to our page navigation button here, and we'll put it in here, drop this thing down, and let's try putting in one more piece here. So I'm just going to copy that out, go to the properties, put in a new URL, and here we go. So now we've replaced the widget that was there, or just kind of overlaid on top of it, I guess, an actual image of what's going on at our Hydra station. So that in itself is very cool. So the ability to visualize it. Now, one thing to note is that this camera, although it does support H.264 video like you'd expect in your web browser, it isn't going to stream from outside of the network. So if you have clients connected, they wouldn't actually be able to view this if it was, say, inside the OT network. If that is something that you need, then VTScada in the tag browser here, you can go new tag and all tag types, and we do have this camera tag. And the camera tag will use the RPC service. It will take the video and it will stream it out to those clients, which is really cool. But you should note that at the time that I'm making this tip, that the camera widget supports MJPEG and does not support H.264. So just be aware, but if you do need to funnel everything through, make sure your camera supports MJPEG and you can use this widget. All right, I hope you enjoyed that tip and trick. Let's move things over to Natasha, who's at her house for a special edition of Questions with Nat, where we feature some of our engineers and developers.
Hi everybody, and welcome to my downstairs living room. This is the holiday extended version of Questions with Nat. Extended because we've had so many great questions come in that I thought, let's end the year right and get all these questions asked. So your very first one, I'm going to send over to Andrew Harvey, who is our lead technical writer and main trainer. And the question is, with the new VTScada Academy, am I considered certified when I finish the course?
Thanks, Natasha. That's a great question. So before I answer it, a couple of details about the Academy. Now, inside, you will find a couple of different sections. There's a quick start series. Those are short 3 to 4 minute videos that cover the highlights of VTScada, showing what the features are, where do you find them, and really, that's it. Not wasting your time with those. Then there's an entire series of the lesson modules that make up the VTScada Operations and Configuration course, the Level 1 course. And those have got pretty much everything that you would learn if you came to one of my regular courses. Really, the main thing that's missing, well, you're not going to get my jokes. Of course, mind you, a lot of my students say that, oh, never mind. The other thing, inside of those modules, there are quizzes, and they require a certain mark to get through, 75, 80%. But the quizzes are only there so you can test your own knowledge. At the moment, we really don't have a way to properly test. So we don't really know if you learned what you came for, or if you just went click, click, click all the way through. Now, that means that at the moment, there is no way to get a certificate by taking the VTScada Academy. You'll get the knowledge, especially if you do the exercises, but you don't get the piece of paper. Now, next year, we are planning to add a VTScada certification exam. And once that's online, then yes, you will be able to get a full certification through the Academy. So in the meantime, take those courses, do the exercises, and get ready, because that exam is going to be designed to be a challenge. Thanks.
And for our next question, we're going to go to VTScada software developer Ming Wei, and it is, can a driver be configured to filter noise in analog read values?
Thanks, Natasha. That's a very good question. Yes, we can achieve this in VTScada. In our I/O and calculation text and the legacy analog status text, there is a deadband parameter that can help eliminate analog noise in values and greatly improve application efficiency. It's worth mentioning that the deadband is an absolute value, not a percentage, and can be configured per tag basis. If a deadband value is not set, a default value will be calculated for you based on several factors, including an application level property. So you can easily tweak reading deadbands application-wide. Also, there is a logging deadband parameter that can help you save storage space by filtering out less important values before writing them to the disk.
All right, I've got a Sparkplug-B question come in, and I've got the right person to ask. Trent, in our technology group, this question's for you. Do I have to import all tags from a Sparkplug-B broker with the MQTT driver, or can I select only the points I am interested in?
Thanks, Natasha. That's a great question. The answer is you do not have to bring in all the tags. While the default behavior is to import all the tags automatically as devices publish data to the broker, this can be disabled in the driver, and tags can either be manually created, or a tag import can be done for devices that have published to VTScada and the points of interest selected from that list. Hope this helps you limit your tag counts as you go forward using this feature.
All right, so a lot of people have been sending us questions on the enhanced activation process in 12.1. So I thought, let's bring on the lead developer who worked on these recent changes, Andre, and he can tell us a bit about it and show how easy it is to do these activations and deactivations in VTScada version 12.1.
Hi, Natasha. So the goal with the changes in the activation process of 12.1 was to remove the requirement for hardware keys. There were a couple other little things here and there that were touched up as well, but that was the main idea behind all of this. With that, we've added a couple more visible dialogues and a new concept of deactivating a license. So if we have a look here, we've added the license management dialog, which is all information that was available more or less in the about dialog previously. We've just moved it into a bit more of a self-contained area so that all your key related items are all visible to you at the same spot. And in this, we've also added the deactivate button. So the idea behind deactivation is if a serial number or a computer is being replaced with a new one, you want to move that license over to the new computer, or perhaps you're switching licenses around, repurposing machines. You'll need to be able to move those licenses. Because those licenses are tied to the systems that they're sitting on, you're going to need to go through and deactivate. So for internet connected systems, it's as simple as clicking deactivate, and there goes the request. It's communicated, and now it's no longer linked to this system. So you can take the serial number that was on here, move it to another computer, or you can take a serial or a key from another location and put it on this computer with a different serial number. Because I'm not moving the serial number around right now, I can go through and I'll click on the activate, and this brings up the dialog that may appear as well for the deactivation side. If you don't have an internet connection or you're on an isolated network, you'll see this for both activation and deactivation. And the idea is it provides you the three different approaches that we offer. So we have the internet connected activation, which is the same idea as the deactivation, and this happens automatically the first time you install VTScada. We have the URL-based activation and deactivation, which is basically a file that you can generate, put onto a USB stick, and bring that over to another computer outside of your isolated network that has the ability to communicate with our activation servers. And then you have the phone-based activation for when you can't move anything in or out of your network. You can give us a call and we can give you the code in order to enter it into the information or the fields down here. The code present in the URL-based and in the phone-based activation and deactivation are the same. So both of those are equivalent, and we'll make use of these fields down here. So if I go through and I activate, simple as that for an internet connected system, and I'm back up and running. Hope that helps with the activation side of things.
Thank you for tuning in to this special holiday edition of Questions with Nat. To answer your last questions, yes, I do own all these holiday sweaters. Yes, all these trees are in my house. Yes, there are even more. So keep your questions coming in. Ask them through direct message, email, on the forum, social media. We'll find them and we'll answer them next year. All right.
Thanks, Natasha. Now, don your hard hats because we're going to be heading down into Chris Little's secret cave to see what he's been working on for the holiday season.
Hey everybody, welcome to my workshop, which is in an undisclosed secret location somewhere in West End, Halifax. And as you can tell, it's a bit of a mess. I've been hard at work creating three rather large mechanical horses. I'm building them for the Downtown Dartmouth Business Association. Every year they do a holiday celebration, and these will be bringing to life the three big beautiful windows at 122 Portland Street, Dartmouth, and they'll be running there pretty much all through December. One of the most stressful things about creating something like this, like you would a SCADA system, is that it needs to run, and it needs to be bulletproof, and it needs to run by itself without a lot of intervention. So that's where a lot of the work that goes into creating these things goes. It doesn't take much to get something running for 30 seconds. By the way, it'll all be operated with sound and lights with this cool little microcontroller from a Canadian company called Fright Ideas. And this includes sound, it includes DMX 512, and basically it will be doing all heavy lifting when I'm not there. So hopefully next year my goal is to somehow have VTScada Lite running this particular unit. So welcome to my lab. Hope you enjoyed this brief tour, and back to the show.
Thanks for that, Chris. It's always amazing to see how you take those gears and pulleys and really make them come alive. Next, we've got a special piece by Eric Brown, who's going to tell us a little bit about his experience at VTScada Fest.
Hello, my name is Eric Brown. I'm with McKim & Creed. I've been going to the VTScada Fest for 4 or 5 years now. Every year it seems to get better and better with the material and what you learn about the new features coming out. And also you get to talk with all the user base and also the Trihedral employees, some of which I've known for over 25 years. If you can, I would go to the VTScada Fest, especially this year. Look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks so much, Eric. We really appreciate all the kind words that you say. VTScada Fest is a ton of work, but we love to see the expression on people's faces when they're really learning something new and having a great time while doing it. So, next up, we're going to take things over to North Carolina, where we have a dazzling display by Peter Diffley.
Hi and welcome to my studio. You've got to know, those of you that tune in all the time, I'm a bit of a technology junkie. One particular thing that is great fun that we do here is my wife, myself and kids, we actually put together different shows for Halloween or for Christmas done on Arduino controllers. There's lighting controllers as well that use DMX512 protocol. The whole thing runs based on a timeline. And that timeline as well also triggers things like holograms and also animatronics. You're going to see it now as well. So if you want to see the full video, just check out the YouTube link that's in the description below. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show, and it brings me to my upstairs living room. Here's my dog Ryder, and she has a few things that she'd like to share with you as well. And that is, if you need a certificate of attendance for professional development hours, make sure to fill out the survey. The link's over in the chat. It's going to also be over on the form. Make sure you like and subscribe everywhere. It's not only here on YouTube, but at the forum and all of our socials, so that way you always get notified of new episodes that are coming up. And grab your free copy of VTScada Lite over at www.vtscada.com. And now I want to say a huge thank you to all the VTScada developers that came in for questions with Nat. Andrew, Trent, Rod, Mingwei, Andre, we appreciate your input. I want to say a huge thank you to, of course, the Automation Village family. We got Chris, Dave, Keith, Pete, Ian, Lee. Thank you to everybody also this year that contributed and came on as a guest of the show. We appreciate you. And we especially appreciate you, our audience. Without you, we don't have this show. We hope that you've enjoyed this year. We hope that you have a great holiday season, however you celebrate. I hope it's with a lot of cookies, my favorite part of the holidays. And just want to say, have a very happy holidays and see you next year.
Bye, everyone.